Welcome to the Technical Writing Success Podcast. This is episode 126. Today we're tackling something that often causes confusion, but getting it right is really key. We're talking about null and empty in programming. I'm Fred, your host, and I'm really looking forward to getting into this, and I've got just the expert to help us out.
Hi, I'm Daphne. And yeah, this is one of those technical concepts that might seem small, but understanding it is pretty fundamental for a clear technical communication. Happy to be here.
Great. And this topic was actually suggested by our producer, Kurt Robbins, who's also a senior technical writer. He really flags the important stuff for us.
Good suggestion.
Yeah. So we're basing our chat today mainly on an article by Robert Delwood called Thinking Like a Programmer, Understanding Null. It came out on Medium in August 2025. And this is really for, anyone listening who's a technical writer, maybe a documentation specialist, or really any IT pro who needs to be super clear about these basic ideas.
Absolutely. Precision matters here.
Okay, so let's jump in. What is null, fundamentally? And why does it cause so many problems?
Right. Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Delwood's article starts by highlighting just how easily null and empty get mixed up, even though they mean fundamentally different things. He actually takes a bit of a philosophical angle to start, which might sound odd for programming, but it really helps clarify things.
Okay, I like that. Sometimes you need an analogy. So he uses one, right, like a box.
Exactly. Imagine you have a box. You look inside, you count 3 apples. Simple enough.
Right. Something exists. You know the quantity. 3.
Precisely. Now, same box, but you open it and find nothing. 0 apples.
Okay.
Now 0, that's still a number. It's a definite quantity. The box is empty. And 0 apples and empty box basically mean the same thing here. You know the state. It's 0.
So 0 or empty means you have information, even if that information is nothing's there.
Yes. It's a known value. The confusion, or rather the distinction, really comes in with the third scenario. Imagine the boxes, say, across the room. You can't see inside. How many apples are in it?
I have no idea. Could be any number.
Yeah.
Could be 0.
Exactly. You don't know. You lack the information. It could be 0, could be 10, could be, I don't know, full of packing peanuts. From your perspective, the observer, that information simply doesn't exist. That state, that unknown, that information doesn't exist. That's where the concept of null starts to make sense.
Okay. That really clears it up. 0 is a known nothing. Null is an unknown something or nothing.
You've got it. Known versus unknown.
So how does this play out when we move from, philosophical boxes to actual code?
Right. Good transition. In programming, we declare values all the time.
Yeah.
You might write apple count 3. A value exists.
Okay.
Or apple count is 0. Again, a value exists. It's specifically 0.
Still a value.
Even something like apple count, that's an empty string. It's 0 length, but it's still a defined value. It exists.
And these are all, like Delwood says, legitimate statements. You can read apple count in all these cases and do something with it.
Correct. No problems there. The trouble starts when a value doesn't exist. Think about declaring a variable but not giving it a value. Maybe like int apple count null in C#. The question mark there signifies it can be null. Or maybe a variable just isn't initialized in some languages.
Or maybe a property is just missing from a data structure you received.
Exactly. In these cases, the variable is null. It holds no value. And if you try to use it directly, like apple count 2,
uh-oh.
Yeah, I was right. You'll likely get an error. C# throws that famous null reference exception. Other languages might crash or behave unpredictably.
Okay, that's the headache developers always talk about, that null reference exception. Why is it such a common frustration?
Well, because the program's trying to operate on nothing. It's expecting a value, an object, something to work with, and it finds emptiness, an absence. It literally can't proceed. And it's important to realize null itself isn't like a data type. It's more of a characteristic. Think of color. Color isn't an object. It's a property of an object. Red ball, green shirt.
Okay, so null describes the state of a variable.
Precisely. It describes the state of having no value. You can assign it, like object x equals null, and you can check for it if x equals null. It signifies absence.
Let's take a brief break for a special message from our producer, Kurt Robbins.
Hi, this is Kurt Robbins. First, thanks for listening. I truly appreciate your support. I want to let you know that I'm currently accepting new clients. My rates are affordable, and I have more than 25 years of experience working for enterprise companies like Microsoft, Northrop Grumman, Oracle, PNC Bank, FedEx, USAA, and Wells Fargo, among many others. If you want to improve your IT documentation and communications, hire me. I deliver fast, know how to use AI to improve efficiency and accuracy, and love going the extra mile to satisfy my clients. Thank you for subscribing and listening. Back to you, Daphne and Fred.
Welcome back to the Technical Writing Success Podcast.
Okay, so we've established null is this absence of value, which causes errors if you try to use it directly. How does this impact us as technical writers, especially when we're doing API documentation?
Oh, it's hugely important.
Yeah.
Our audience, the developers using the API, they need to know when something might be null. Our documentation has to be explicit about it.
Yeah.
We're guiding them on how to use the software safely.
Right, so if we're documenting, say, a JSON response from an API.
Good example. In the JSON, if you see a field like count 3 or count 0 or even name, those are all fine. They're actual values a developer can read and use.
Okay.
But if you see count.null, or maybe the count field isn't even present in the response, that's the danger zone. Trying to read that value without checking first will likely crash their code. So our job in the docs is to warn them about this possibility.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just warning. It connects to the developer's responsibility. Delwood is really strong on this point. Developers must always check for null before using a value they get from somewhere else, like an API.
Always.
He says always here means 100% of the time. It's just fundamental good practice. You need that null check, that value null block, before you try to do anything with the value.
That pushes back on something I think a lot of us assume. We often think, okay, I'll mark this field as required in the docs so developers know it'll be there. Is that not enough?
It's a common assumption, but no, unfortunately, it's not enough. Required in documentation doesn't guarantee presence in reality. Well, bugs happen. Maybe there's an edge case the API developer didn't account for. Maybe there's an error upstream generating the data. Stuff goes wrong. Delwood even mentions that checking the required status is sometimes less critical for him than ensuring the null check advice is there. Because ultimately, if a developer needs the value, they must check if it's null first, regardless of what the docs say about it being required.
So the null check is the real safety net, not just the required label.
Absolutely. The check is paramount. I remember early in my career, I documented something as optional and just figured that meant maybe empty, caused some real headaches when developers hit actual nulls they weren't expecting. You learn that lesson fast.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And thankfully, modern standards like OpenAPI 3.0, which many technical writers use for REST APIs, give us tools for this. There's the nullable tag.
Ah, right. Nullable. True or false.
Exactly. It explicitly states whether a field can be null. So nullable, true, means watch out, this might be null, you need to check. Nullable. False means this should never be null, but going back to our earlier point, you should probably still check just in case.
Okay, so as writers, we use nullable in the spec, and then in the description, we should probably reinforce that with, hey, remember to check for null here.
Definitely. Show examples too. Show what a response looks like with data and what it looks like when that field is null.
Makes sense. Now, the article also mentioned something intriguing, 3 binary values. That sounds paradoxical. How does null create a third state for something that's supposed to be just true or false?
It does sound weird, right? Binary means 2 states. But null introduces this third possibility. The information isn't available or isn't applicable. Think about a Boolean field, like isn't active. It should be true or false. But if the API allows nullable, true for that field, then receiving null doesn't mean false. It means we don't know. The information is missing.
Okay.
Delwood uses that provocative example. Do you still beat your dog?
Yeah, that one certainly grabs your attention.
It does, but it makes the point well. The answer seems like yes or no, true, false. But what if the person never had a dog or never beat it?
Ah, so false isn't the right answer there.
Exactly. False implies they used to but stopped. If they never did it, the question itself isn't applicable. In that case, null is the appropriate response. It signifies this data point doesn't apply or information not available. It's a very common use case for null data that just couldn't be sourced.
Okay, that clarifies the 3 binary values idea.
Yeah.
Null adds that not applicable or unknown dimension.
Precisely. And wrapping this all up, what Delwood really drives home is just how vital precise language is for us, for technical writers communicating with developers. Getting terms like null and empty right isn't just pedantic, it builds credibility and prevents real misunderstandings that lead to bugs.
So let's quickly recap that core difference one last time.
Okay. 0 or empty. A value exists. It might represent nothing, like 0 items in a list, but the code can read it and work with it, like looping 0 times. It's known.
Got it. No, nothing.
Null or nothing. No value exists. It's an absence. If you try to use it without checking, your program will likely error out. It's unknown or non-existent. The null check is absolutely mandatory,
Mandatory.
not optional.
Not optional if you want robust code.
And understanding this difference really helps us write better, safer, more helpful documentation. We can anticipate where developers might get tripped up.
Exactly. We become better guides.
So, a final thought for you listening. When you document that next API field, especially one marked required, pause and think, is it truly always there, or could it sometimes be null? And how can your words, your examples, prepare the developer for that possibility? Something to reflect on. Thank you for listening to the Technical Writing Success Podcast, where we help you get smarter than your competition. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share. We'll see you next week.